Why aren't Chinese consumers impulsive shoppers like the Europeans? And I'm going to show you a couple of slides I used in a presentation about cross-border e-commerce last year in Belgium. That sort of give you an idea about the situation that the Chinese people are in. Now, imagine that you've got a small child and you decide to give this child milk powder, so baby milk, which normally shouldn't be a problem unless you've got this stuff in the product, melamine. And I don't know, have any of you heard about the scandal in 2008? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there was melamine. There was a substance that makes this look like it's got more protein in it. Makes the product look like it's got more protein. And there was a company that was adding this, and it made a lot of children, a lot of babies very sick. And there's even a couple that actually died because they were consuming milk powder contaminated with melamine. It's an enormous scandal, and this has an enormous impact on the Chinese society, where especially the young mothers, they've got the feeling that they need to protect their children from everything, every polluting thing, every unsafe food, every unsafe product in China. And what you see here scrolling is just the food scandals that I read about during the 2 years that I was living in China.
It's not the menu.
It's not. It's not the menu. At least it's not in the menu under this name. So it's really something that a lot of Chinese people are worried about. And as you can see, just imagine having to consume all of these things. And the worst thing is gutter oil. The gutter oil is actually oil that's been used by restaurants, is then thrown into the gutter, into the sewage, and is scooped out by other people which recycle it and sell it back to these same restaurants. Bon appetit. Bon appetit. And still the Chinese kitchen is superb. But the estimation is that about 10% of all meals prepared in China are made with gutter oil. And of course, you cannot say it's all of the street food, because actually in a restaurant you cannot see what's happening in the kitchen. Sometimes it's even safer to eat street food. There was also an article at one point where there was a farm field, that was covered with dried up pulp from a paper factory. Paper factory was 1 kilometer down a stream. They went out and investigated what was happening here. The farmers, they were using the water from the river, where the factories were throwing in their wastewater, to irrigate their fields. And they went to talk to this guy, the farmer that owned this field, and they asked him, what do you think about this? And do you yourself eat your own products? And his answer was, no, they are sold to you. I don't eat my own products, I sell them to you. What we do, we buy our products in the next village, because seemingly there it's safe to eat what they are growing there. But you also see that what's happening is these farmers that often have no other choice than use polluted water and then sell their goods to people they don't know, people that are outside of their guanxi circle. So they don't harm the people that they have to deal with on a daily basis. Now, the Pew Research Center asks this question every 2 years, I think, to the Chinese people. And they ask, what are your biggest concerns in China at the moment? And continuously very high in the top 10 is the quality of manufactured goods, safety of food, and safety of medicine. So the safety of products. Now, the safety is an issue, but let's assume that you go online. We've been talking about e-commerce. You go online and you order an iPhone. You order an Apple phone, but by the time it arrives, it turns out to be a pear. And this happens in China. It's just a lot of fake stuff, which is called Shanghai, which actually means mountain fortress, because it's got this image of these pirates hiding out in the mountains that are making all of this fake stuff. And this happens a lot in China. It's one of the biggest problems that Alibaba is facing, for instance, on Taobao. They've been put back on the blacklist in the United States because of all of the Shanghai goods that are being sold in Taobao.
How it can happen that when you buy the original thing from Alibaba, but you get delivered the fake thing?
You remember what we said in the first lecture? It's not actually Alibaba that's selling you stuff.
Oh, it's okay.
They just facilitate the trade between seller and buyer, but they don't sell anything themselves. It happens a lot, especially on Taobao. It's less on Tmall, because on Tmall it's actually the brand owners that can sell their stuff. So it also happens much less on JD.com, because JD is more like Amazon. They buy the products and then resell them themselves. So they have an actual buying connection to the brands. Yeah. But Shanghai is everywhere. Even if you walk down the street, you could come upon Star Fox.
I couldn't have come up with that. Even me.
Yeah, so stuff like this happens a lot in China. So besides the safety of products, there's a clear worry about the authenticity of products. Is what I'm buying, is that actually the real product? Now, what we've also said in the first lecture is, if you sell something on Taobao, then you need to include a lot of pictures and pictures of the manuals, certificates of authenticity, stuff like that. And that's because people want to be sure that what they're buying is actually real. What they also do, and you can have a look at this graph when I post it to you later on, but the most important thing is that they rely very much on what other consumers are saying. Not so much what the brand or what the seller is saying, but what do other people say about that product on social media, word of mouth, even celebrities and key opinion leaders we discussed last week. So they listen a lot to the opinions of others. And because that is so important to the Chinese people, what they also do is they share a lot of their own opinions. So also when they travel, they share a lot on social media. They write a lot of reviews about the places they are going to. So this is also another reason why word of mouth and peer-to-peer reviews is so important in China. Now, if you sum of all of this up, basically this explains why Chinese people don't buy very impulsively, because they are always a bit distrustful about what they're buying. And they want to gain more information. They take much more time to gather information and to see if it's safe and it's authentic. Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, in China they are not impulsive, but when we did some checking around it seems to happen that when they come to Europe, they do buy impulsive.
Yeah, because they are not distrustful about what is being sold here. They trust what they can buy here. And that's also one of the reasons why cross-border e-commerce is getting more popular. But I'll head into your remark, I think with this one, yeah. So if consumers are shifting toward Western brands, is it possible that it happens for other products as well? This was mainly in fashion and in clothing. And yes, it is possible. As a matter of fact, it's already happening in many different product categories. Now let's assume that you don't want to buy that Pear phone on a Chinese website, but you want to get like the real thing, the real iPhone. If you go online and you go into a store in China, you would pay 22% more for that same iPhone than when we buy it here in the Netherlands or in the United States. And that's because there's a luxury goods tax that goes on all of the luxury goods that go into China. And it depends a bit on the product category, but it can be 10 to 50%. So that explains that even though the iPhones are made in China, they're actually more expensive in China because they basically go out of the country and are sort of re-imported, maybe even though they stay physically in China. But they are basically re-imported and an extra tax is added to that. So that's one of the reasons also why Chinese people are buying a lot outside of the country when they're traveling. So the equation basically is, if you have a lack of trust in the safety and authenticity of products, you have high domestic pricing of luxury goods, and you have an interest in authentic foreign goods, because Chinese people are really interested in authentic foreign products, that's where cross-border e-commerce is coming from. So this is something that's really booming. This is the number of people in China that are buying online that have bought foreign products. And currently it's about 45%. 45% of everybody that buys online in China has bought foreign products. And it's even growing. It's, in a couple of years, it's half of the people that buy online have bought foreign products. And that's what the platforms of Tmall Global and JD Worldwide have been set up for, to enable foreign brands and foreign companies to sell their products straight to the Chinese consumer without the necessity of having a distribution channel in China itself. So this is another graph that shows you how booming this market is. Now the question was, can it also happen for other types of products? So if Western clothing brands and Western fashion brands are very popular, and you see that especially with the Gucci's and all of the big fashion names, but it's even more important for these product categories: food, baby care and beauty. What you see here is the percentage that this product category has in domestic e-commerce. And what you see here is the percentage it has, the share it has in cross-border e-commerce. So cross-border, these products are bought much more often than within China. Now, is there anything that you see in these product categories that sort of stands out to you?
Are there by any chance importing beauty products from Korea?
Yes, yeah. A lot of the beauty products are coming from Korea. So, but it's the beauty products and it's the food. And the baby care products are also, a lot of it is food, is baby food. But it's also stuff like strollers and anything you would use for your child. But basically the big thing is here that anything you put inside your body or your child's body or on your body, like any cream, is something that Chinese people are really worried about, and they prefer to actually use foreign products because there's been too many scandals inside China. So that's why these product categories are so popular in cross-border commerce. So yes, there are chances for other products as well. It depends on which product category. Some product categories are not really popular to buy cross-border, but some product categories are. Daigou. You were saying what happens if these people come at the border and they've bought all of this stuff. Now, if tourists normally go back into China, it's not such a problem because they don't have that much. But Daigou, for the people that don't know, Daigou is basically the trend of people outside China, and it happens a lot to Chinese students. Are you doing it? Are you Daigou?
No, but sometimes I do have like the requests from my family, other family or friends, family's friends, asking me to send some baby food back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very common. And there's actually Chinese students, both here in the Netherlands and in other countries, that are running a small Daigou business and making a lot of money on the side by buying products and shipping them back. This is one of my friends from China. His name is Yui. He's actually an American-born Chinese. And he was one of my best friends in Xi'an. He got married to a Chinese lady when he went back to the United States. And since then, his WeChat feed has been sort of exploding with all of these designer bags and stuff like that his, by now, wife is selling through WeChat. So this is something that's happening. It's one of the ways in which Chinese people, Chinese consumers can get their hands on foreign products. The question was, is it legal? No, not really, which you can see in this picture. Especially in the border between Hong Kong and China, there's a lot of smuggling taking place. And this lady was caught, I think it was the iPhone, what was the big one? iPhone 6 or 7? 6, yeah. So probably she must have tried this before, maybe with the smaller phones, but when she sort of tried to walk through customs with these bigger phones, but it can be even more extreme. This guy, they saw that he was sort of walking a bit robotic. So these guys, these people are also Daigou. So it's not just people that live in another country and ship things back, but it's also people that smuggle this stuff across the border. And also like this guy, who thought, well, I'll just put him in my socks. If you get caught with this, of course, you have a problem, because you're basically a smuggler as a Daigou. Small packages that, if you sort of send in 2 cans of milk powder from a different country to China, that's not a big problem. As a matter of fact, there's a company in the Netherlands that is facilitating that. It's a company that works together with PostNL, the Dutch postage system, because they want to try to get rid of all of the grey channel where people sort of go into the supermarkets and buy up all of that stuff and send it back to China. So, but it's not legal. It's not legal. And depending on the scale it happens in, you will get away with it or not.
If you want to do it legally, you would have to pay import tax.
Yeah. And of course, just like we have in the Netherlands, when we buy stuff on AliExpress, there are certain values under which you can still, without any import tax, get it into China. But if you go above that, you would have to pay import tax. Just like with the iPhone I showed earlier on.